Hey everyone, Kyle Erickson here. Lately I've been looking at a lot of mechanical keyboards for Mac that are specifically geared towards office use and productivity. These are starting to become more and more common, and today I wanted to bring you an option that's probably not super well known, but overall has a decent amount of praise and hype surrounding it. This is the Vissles V84 mechanical keyboard. It's an 84 key 75% layout that has a ton of built-in features and options that on paper makes this a really intriguing option if you're looking for a 10 keyless mechanical keyboard, especially if you're considering one with a Mac layout. I'd say this is a direct competitor to something like the Keychron K2. Both have 84 keys, and when you're looking at the layout, they're almost identical to each other. Most of what you'll find on the internet is overwhelmingly positive in regards to the V84, and there are definitely a lot of great things about it, but there are some things that you'll want to be aware of if you're picking this up. First things first, let's talk about all that's packed in here, because there is a lot. In the box, you've got the keyboard, a wrist rest with non-slip pads, 2 magnetic feet, charging cable, keycap, and switch pullers, and some extra keys for switching between PC and Mac layouts, which I really like instead of having dual labels like you'll see on some keyboards. You'll get all of that for $120 for the version that I have here, so pretty affordable for everything that's included. There's also a $100 option that comes with dark ABS plastic keys and red, blue, or brown switches. This $120 version of the V84 comes with VS2 switches, which I will touch on in a few minutes. It's fairly minimal design-wise with white PBT keycaps and a black plastic base. Although it is plastic, it feels very sturdy and it doesn't really have any flex. You've got a USB-C port on the front of the keyboard for charging this or using it in wired mode, and you can toggle between wired mode and Bluetooth mode with the switch on the bottom. Unlike a lot of other keyboards, this doesn't actually have hinged feet that you usually see for adjusting the angle that this sits at. It actually just comes with magnetic feet that you attach and detach. I'm not a huge fan of them. I just think that having something like this is a lot more likely to get lost, especially if you're me, and it's a little bit less convenient than just flipping it over and pushing the feet out, but it is not that big of a deal. You're likely going to either leave these off or pop them on and forget about them. On the top side, those white keycaps feel pretty durable with a slight textured finish. The key legends have a nice font, which is a huge pet peeve of mine. I just could not stand when keyboards have gross looking typography on the keys, especially those weird stencil looking kinds. These are clean looking, which does complement the minimal aesthetic. The text is just black and it won't illuminate with a backlight on, but the keys are somewhat translucent. So when the backlight is on and it is dark enough, you can see everything clearly. And speaking to that backlight, it is fully RGB with 5 different brightness settings, 19 different lighting effects, and 9 different monochrome colors. Personally, I don't really use lighting effects. I find them to be a bit gimmicky. They just remind me of a product demo setup in a store. For me, I'm either going to have the light on or off, but I do like that I can switch between all the backlight colors there. It also has a caps lock indicator, which can be a little bit difficult to see with certain backlight colors. And there's also supposed to be a charging battery indicator that shows up through the keyboard, which is pretty ugly. But for whatever reason, it isn't showing up for me, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I probably would have put those indicators on a separate LED that was more easily distinguishable and not just mixed amongst the backlight. Again, not a huge deal, just calling that out. One other thing that I will say about the keycaps is the quality of the plastic does feel a lot nicer than on the Keychron K2 in similar keyboards. I find a lot of Keychron keycaps to be not the greatest quality. They tend to shine after extended use, and I don't get the sense that the V84 keys will. On the flip side, these keys aren't as good as a lot of other brands with the consistency of the key labeling and the actual use of the function keys. So, weird thing, if you're using this with the Mac layout, most of the function row works just like an Apple keyboard, where you can press the top row for any multimedia or keyboard actions without holding the function key. But on this one, for whatever reason, the backlight illumination keys don't do anything unless you hold the function keys, which is a little bit strange. Not only that, but the top row is all nicely labeled with the keyboard and multimedia icons along with the F keys, but outside of that top row, there's nothing else. So I just find when you start using this, you do have to reference the manual quite a bit just to learn what combination of keys you have to hit to do different things. I think it would have been nice to at least have some icons there for things like switching between platform orientations or pairing different devices and things like that, just to add a little bit of consistency. Speaking of pairing, you can connect up to 5 different devices to this, which I would say is above average. Most keyboards in my set support multi-device pairing, usually go up to 3 devices. I don't know that most people have 5 things that they'll want to pair to a single keyboard, but if you do, this will do it. You've also got wired mode available as well if you'd rather not bother with a wireless connection. The cable provided is about 6 feet long, so there should be ample length to run this to your machine, and that performs really well with the limited testing that I've done. But I have used this most of the time wirelessly. It does pair strictly with a Bluetooth 5.1 connection, so no dongle or receiver. I've had it paired up to my Mac and had no difficulty with the connection at all. The Bluetooth on the keyboard will enter standby mode after 30 minutes, and after that happens, it wakes up really fast, and it can take the Mac out of sleep mode without any prolonged wait time. There were no issues dropping key presses or Bluetooth packets, and I've been able to type away on this for hours without any problems. The typing experience is obviously the most important part of a keyboard, and I gotta say this is one of the nicest mechanical keyboards that I've tried for Mac in that regard. I love the feel of the texture on the keycaps, and on the specific V84 variant, Vissles has developed their own VS2 teal switches, which are a quiet linear style switch. If you've ever used red switches before, they're sort of a quieter version of those. Now here's some audio just so you can get an idea of what they sound like. I can type away all day on the V84, but I do find to comfortably type on this, you'll likely want to use either the provided wrist rest or an aftermarket one. The wrist rest that I bought previously for my Keychron K2 works really well if you prefer something with a bit more of a solid construction versus the padded one that's provided. This is also a hot swappable keyboard, so if you're ever having any issues with your switches, or you just think that you'd prefer to try a different style of switch, these are super easy to change to any switches that you prefer. You do get a lot of typing time wirelessly as well. It is equipped with a 3750 mAh battery that Vissles says will last up to 180 hours if you aren't using the backlight, and from what I understand is around 19 hours if it's on its max brightness, so it's a bit less than the Keychron K2, which advertises up to 240 hours with no backlight. It does have a low battery indicator that shows through the backlight, but other than that, I don't have any way of knowing if the battery is low or what level it's at. There's no indicator through the operating system like a lot of other keyboards have, and with that lack of a charging indicator, it's just really tough to know what the state of things are. Other than that, I'd say pretty solid performance overall. Not out of this world or anything, but it is on par with a lot of other keyboards. Finally, the last thing that I wanted to mention, which is the oddest, but also not that surprising, the software. So if you take a look at all the branding material, this is clearly marketed as being compatible with all operating systems. They give you different keycaps for switching between Mac and PC layouts, and it's pretty clear that there's more of an emphasis on Mac users. The keyboard comes with Mac keys pre-installed, and even on their website, all their photos are showcasing the Mac layout with Apple products, which is totally fine. What I don't understand is why they have software to manage things like macros, gaming modes, and lighting, and it's only compatible with Windows. It would seem like that would be something that you'd probably want to focus on with Mac first to align with all your other messaging, but in any case, from what I understand, the software on Windows actually isn't great either, and I think that's pretty common for lesser known brands to have issues like these. Software is one of those things that look simple enough from the outside looking in, but it can be really hard to get right. I think if it were me, I probably would have just omitted the software altogether until I knew I could at least do it on the platform all my advertising is built on, but this seems like a general theme with this keyboard. Overall, there are a lot of great things about the Vissles V84, but there are just some areas that lack a bit of polish or thought. The typing experience is really a dream when you're working away on this, and the connection is really solid, which I think are the two pillars when it comes to what makes a great keyboard. The software, the inconsistent function keys, and some of the design choices like the backlight indicators and the magnetic feet are, for me, what really holds us back. That being said, for 100 to 120 bucks, you're getting a hot swappable, reliable mechanical keyboard, and depending on what you value, this might be a great option for you. I will leave links below to this keyboard if you want to pick this up. I would love to know, do you care about the aesthetic value, the bells and whistles, or do you just strictly look for typing experience? Let me know in the comments down below what is important to you and what you're shopping for in a keyboard. If you enjoyed this video, please hammer that like button. If you want to see more tech-related content, or if you feel like we might share the same taste in shiny objects, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next upload.